of you may have heard of stories where CODAs, children of deaf adults, have had to take on the responsibility of being the interpreter for their parents in emergency situations.
That's right.
Some of you may have even experienced it firsthand. We wanted to find out about the impact that this responsibility has on CODAs themselves and why it is still happening in this day and age. Samuel Ash reports.
Service providers such as hospitals, the courts and the police have an obligation to provide equal access to their services for deaf people under the Equality Act. One of the access requirements is engaging a qualified sign language interpreter when requested. However, there have been many instances where CODAs, hearing children with deaf parents, have been forced to step in to interpret sensitive information for their deaf family members.
In 2008, my father was diagnosed with liver cancer. That was in October, November, and then in July 2009, my father died. At his hospital appointments, there was never an interpreter.
Regularly, my mum would receive letters and I'd have to translate them. But at such a young age, I didn't understand the content of these letters from the council or the bank. I'd grab the dictionary and search for the words. I'd have to work out what they meant before translating them for my mum.
It was almost like they were stopping me from just being there as her daughter. They only saw me as a communication tool. They didn't allow me to be there as a daughter with her mother, offering emotional support and participating in the discussion. That wasn't allowed.
I would often go along with my parents to interpret. Once, it was for a mortgage application at the bank. I was doing things like that when I was very young, about 11 or 12 years old.
We're looking in particular at healthcare issues. Organisations that provide NHS England care or adult social care services are required by law to follow the Accessible Information Standard. The standard sets out a specific approach for patients' communication support needs, such as providing a BSL interpreter where needed. But in February 2021, a case in Sheffield received a lot of media attention when a hearing daughter had to interpret medical information for her stepfather, Ronnie, who was deaf. Unfortunately, he was given a terminal cancer diagnosis. The family has agreed to speak to SeeHear and share their story. Hello.
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 Thank you for agreeing to speak to us. Can you explain to us what happened?
It all started when my husband was taken into hospital. He had to stay in for 3 days. Unfortunately, because of coronavirus, we were unable to be with him. When we went to talk to them at the hospital, I was told, "Sorry, you're not allowed in. Only 2 people, Ronnie and my daughter, could go in." I was gutted, but I stepped back and my daughter went in. When she came back out, even though she had a mask on, I could see in her eyes that she was upset, and I knew then that it was bad news. He died 2 weeks and 2 days later.
Annie, why were you the one that had to explain everything to Ronnie?
Because there was nobody. They've never asked for interpreter, provided nothing.
How did you feel being in that situation?
At the time, it was a case of, well, somebody's got to do it. I had no choice. I would have liked to have been there in the capacity of his daughter, giving him comfort, rather than having to tell him, "Sorry, Dad, you're dying, and there's nothing you can do."
How do you think situations like this can be prevented in the future to stop them from ever happening again?
We need something that says on their medical records, when they type their name in, it should come up BSL interpreter needed.
Anywhere, really. Again, it's our right as deaf people. We need to campaign for this. I don't want other people going through the same situation as us.